Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming down today for this talk, Neutral Surface, a talk and exhibition walkthrough with Spin Design Studio. So I guess before I hand the mic to them, I would like to do a short introduction of their practice. So these are Rin and Field that we have here today, and they are the founders of Spin. It's a Bangkok-based design studio. They are an interdisciplinary architecture and design practice, and they explore the intersections of space, perception, and movement. Spin sees the architectural form not as static, but as an evolving dialogue, and they between space, users, and context. Through subtle geometric manipulations, material transitions, and spatial compositions, the duo creates environments that shape the way people navigate, interpret, and engage with the built world. Spin's work spans architecture, exhibition design, and spatial research, with a focus on legibility and interaction. From reimagining public spaces as flexible, participatory environments to crafting immersive installations that challenge conventional spatial boundaries, Spin's approach is rooted in experimentation and precision. Each project is an exploration of scalar relationships, how the dimensions and materiality of space influence perception and experience. By blurring the lines between architecture, art, and human interaction, Spin positions space as an active participant in shaping experiences rather than a passive backdrop. The goal is to craft environments that not only function, but also invite discovery, movement, and engagement. So with their knowledge and expertise, Spin was actually invited to work on the exhibition design of No Patents on Ideas, and we'll do a walkthrough of the exhibition at the end of the talk. So without further ado, let us invite Rin and Field to speak a bit more of their practice, including No Patents on Ideas.
Hi everyone, I'm Rin and this is Phil.
Hi, I'm Field.
So maybe we start from the exhibition No Patent, Pratchaya work. Yeah. I'm not sure all of you guys has been in the exhibition already or not, but maybe we share the things first and later on we can walk together again. Yeah. So let's start. This is everything starts from this set of the table. So first, would you like to share the conversation?
So you start with the conversation with Pratchaya on this like Chinese round table. He told us information of the exhibition that he want to achieve, and in that moment, I think there's a conversation about the plane and the slope that the plane is taking off, and after that, we do the sketch for him.
Through the conversation, like things has been developed in the meanwhile. That's why the first sketch come with the introducing the new ground as an inclination in the exhibition space with together with the dropping of the surface of the fabric. Yeah. So and then we been talking through the thing that's going to be exhibit inside the space. Like we have a numprig, we have the carpet, we have the surfaces with the money drop, and we have the new ground introduced. Yeah.
I want to step back a bit to the first photo because we all interested in these boundaries and stuff. And to create this kind of canvas of photo of the aeroplane, the light itself that's showing from the screen to the ground to achieve this enclosure of the space. We try to bring the canvas down as much as possible, but because of the ceiling of the space is quite high, it's like 5-something meter already. So to achieve that, we designed together with Pratchaya to construct the ramp to bring the ground up as much as possible to the screen, to have for people to feel comfortable enough for the space that they can comfortably.
They can sit or lay down or like let them move through the space. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you also talked about how if you brought the screen down instead rather than the floor up, it will affect the view of the space, right, with all the wires, and that will affect the view of the negative space. So I think what was really interesting to me here when you were sharing this project with me was that you saw the ground as not something that was static. It's all these walls, like the boundaries, are not like stuck in place. You can move them. There are ways to adjust it. So height is a dimension that you can also play with. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. So that's why we started to develop the new ground. So as you can see, we tested to the size of the module of the structure, yeah, and the height and the degrees of the inclination.
To achieve that and to do the mock-up in Bangkok, so we decided to make it as a module so it's easy to deliver to the space. We use Bangkok City as the mock-up place for this exhibition. And to achieve that, the structure itself, they have to be stored somewhere else. So we decide and we tried as much as possible to make it.
We like explore how the volume of the structure can be arranged in the sizing, like the width, the depth, and the length, and then we kind of discover the possibility of how to say, like to use it in the different way, because when you have the module in different size and you rearrange it in the different sequence, so you get the new, how to say, like the overall volume, the new system, new geometry. That's why we test it as a ground, and also we turn it vertically as maybe let's say a wall or a bookshelf or like the vertical structure.
At the day of the mock-up, we test it in reality that is it work like what we think. And after that, together with Pratchaya, Pratchaya decided to donate it.
Yeah, donate to the foundation, because the foundation is going to open the new library, so that's why they can use it as a bookshelf. Yeah. Then we brought everyone back to the. We would like to share the day that we mock up at the City Gallery. So. The crate come with this module that we pre-production, and then we assembly on site, and we test it as a, like, is it solid enough to walk? Is this like the tension of the inclination is work with when people move through space or not? Yeah.
And on the right side of you is Pratchaya himself testing the grounds that is solid enough for him or not.
I think he happy, right?
Yeah, from the photo, yes. I think he's smiling. So.
Yeah. So then later on, when the structure complete, we kind of experience it ourselves. Like we sit, we lay down, we even try to lay down in different orientation, like the heads up to the higher point, or rotate around to diagonal ways to test, like when people move through or when people experience with this kind of surface, how it's feel.
Yeah, and on the right photo is here is Pratchaya, and here's me, myself. Because of the conversation with Pratchaya, he wants for audience somehow to feel the gravity of moving in the space. So we try to lay it out in different direction. That is it work? That the gravity is work or not?
Mm-hmm. This is also we want to show the structure and the need and the new surfaces. So when the surface has been covered, so you want kind of be able to notice the new shifting orientation of the ground. And then later on exhibition view, with the people. So you can see that the light also affect the volume of the space here also, because when we wanted to layer two of the guideline, like new ground and maybe let's call it new ceiling, so you already activate the soft kind of boundary to make it in different level of enclosure. So when the light is appear super bright, so it's kind of expand this volume of the space a little bit. So when the light is a little bit dim, so the volume kind of reflect it back to be a smaller of the volume.
Here is another exhibition from Pratchaya. We want to walk you through how we work with the artist. Here is his exhibition in Tokyo, in Pyramide. At the moment, the show is still going on. And this is the result that in the space. But anyway, when we work with the artist, there's a lot of sketches. It's like as an architect, it's like when we work with the owner as well to design some building or space, we have to do a lot of sketches and development, right? So
You want to give them some context on what the work is? So part of the work that you see is these things at the edge. So these are actually made from unexploded ordnances from Laos. So if you might not have seen the work in the exhibition space, but part of our engagement with Pratchaya was an artwork called Spoon that is shaped it's like round, kind of fits in the palm of your hand. And those were melted down from unexploded ordnances. They're like bombs, field mines that are found in Laos. So Laos actually is the most bombed place on earth. So this is where they're found, and the local community there has been making things like cutlery, objects using these materials. It's a way of neutralizing that bomb. So this is a different form that it has taken. So while the ones in Singapore we have are spoon, that round form, here we have a different shape. It's a bit like rod-like, and you're seeing it looks that way. I think they were sharing that these were meant to be golf clubs. That's why now we have them in this truncated form at the edge. Yeah, so that's a bit of context about the work.
Here is the first draft that we did for Pratchaya. On your left side is a very first draft that we took his artwork, his object, that what is called the leg and the arm.
The arm and the legs.
The phantom limb.
Yeah, the phantom pain. Yeah. Phantom limbs. And laid onto the ground to make it like when you walk on top of it, it's not comfortable enough. So you have to be careful. And on the right side is when we have more input from Pratchaya and we do another draft for him that is.
So it's like we again, like through the conversation, we've been developing the sketches, like, and then after the geometry itself changed, so we kind of rearrange it in the space in another way. Like the first one, you meant to be walk over the artwork, so you feel like a little kind of consciously has to be moved step by step. So again, on the right hand side, you also need to be kind of a little bit avoiding not to destroy or to disturb the artwork for something like that.
It sort of feels like the way that you would try and walk around a landmine, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and I think another of Prachaya's works was again made from the same material, but in this shape, so that it kind of serves like a mirror. So it's meant, if you imagine, for people who had stepped on these landmines, they would have lost limbs. So a way of physical therapy for them is having a mirror to sort of make it look as though your limb is back. So it's restoring that, speaking to that phantom limb syndrome that they have. So I guess these two sort of, to me, look like they're sibling images to me, right?
Yeah, so then we brought everyone to the other exhibition. This one we have been work with the Tullapop, the Thai
Filmmaker.
filmmaker. Yeah. So maybe we show the first conversation with the artist. So this is the things get start from this sketch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very funny and interesting sketch from the artist himself that we communicate with him and develop it together into some kind of form that is developed from time to time. Is the process is I think it's between 1 month, right, of the process.
So maybe let me explain because he's a Thai filmmaker, but during this the Thai experimental film festival, he wanted to how to say challenge himself to exhibit in a different way. So in the exhibition, there's only a sound, not a visual at all. So he wanted to create the space from the sound, and then the
Yeah, what we develop is to do this kind of installation, which is like use the sound that he collected from the festival and put it in the position that he designed it. For us, is we built and designed the installation, which is kind of like site specific, play with the column that is used to be already in the space, and allow audience to move the structure itself between these 3 days of exhibition.
so as you can see on the top drawing, there's they how to say assembly with the three modular, and two of them has the columns kind of constrained, like so it's a little bit freedom movely, but fixed with the location of the pillars inside of the space. So when people enter, you can freely move the structure, but one of them can freely move through the space, and another two you kind of have a little limit of the shifted space. And once people enter the room, so when one modular start to move, so the rest of the audience kind of more comfy to move the structure around. And in every day, the structure has been traveled and it shifted the space. So the default situation has been changed and the speaker has been moved. So it's kind of create another dimension of the space together with the sound as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this piece, when you were talking to me about it, it was quite interesting because there's the sound from the artwork itself, right? It's the sounds that come from the theater, so you don't hear the sound of a film, but the ambient sound. So it's kind of John Cage in a bit. And it also, you said there was also screening alongside a silent film, right? There was a silent film. This is the silent film to you.
Actually, the sound was recorded from a silent film. So it's kind of all the ambience, yeah.
Yeah, and then the sounds that the audience are making now in the space with the objects are again adding to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the design sort of facilitates that.
Sorry?
The design of the modular structure sort of facilitates the creation of more sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the sound that the artists collect is from the cinema that happened between the festival, and that cinema is showing in the silent film. So the sound that produced inside the cinema is from the audience. It's the ambience that happened inside in real life in the silent film. After he collected, I think he might have manipulated a little bit for
layer. Another kind of work on top. So it's not one-to-one record.
So in the space itself between this festival, when the sound is traveling or moving, and as well the audience if you can see from here, the audience themselves, they move in and interact with the sound. So this kind of introduce another way that he can film, and when people have a look at it and enjoy, what is called?
You mean in a different interaction? Yeah. Because it's like it's funny because the speaker, the one that's a little bit lower, so you will see like more or less the same pattern that people would like to go closer, like to sit beside and try to listen something that's going to be sound of. Yeah. And again, we brought everyone back to another project. This is the storage. At the beginning, the space it starts from the owner that he is also an artist, and he would like to have the space for storage his artwork. That's why this project happens. And what? Maybe I show first. And then as you can see, actually the space is so nice, like it's a big space, it's beautifully, and we think the space itself has such a potential. So we together with the owner think maybe we should not take over the whole space. That's why we been kind of plug the little block inside the existing building.
Yeah, not only to store his artwork and stuff. So we together with the owner, we think that to overlay another function to this storage would be nice. To make the storage itself put in another possibility to show the art as well.
That's why the window at the front comes at the first place, and then we through the conversation we've been developing. So we think once the space that used to be used as a storage, right, and the front stage has possibility to exhibit something to show the artwork, and we think we can also expand the possibility through this one big panel that can open, so the backstage at the back side can flip to the front stage at the front and use it as the art space as well.
Yeah, to combine the passive and active of possibility of art space. So when no one is taking care of it, it can turn into the passive art space.
And then we will roughly show you the plan of the space, so you can see when the big panel open, so you have one block, like you take back the space one block to the front, and the rest of it can be a storage. But at the very end, so one of just 25% use it as a storage, because the 3 block of the right hand side is kind of organically turned into the art space, and we would like to show you how it's used at the moment. So I think through the first exhibition, we've been collecting how the space has been shifted, and also the artist and the curator and the owner space as well, like explore possibility how to use this storage. So sometimes the windows are closed and you just use as the linear space to exhibit. And sometimes when you open up, you can have the space, and sometimes they even let people walk through inside the room, the space.
So this work over here is Prachaya's piece, Sacrifice Depth for Breath, right? So later on in the space, in our gallery, you'll see how it has been presented differently and how it can respond to different sites.
Yeah, this is also another situation because, as I mentioned before, like inside the room, at the moment they can turn it sometime to the kind of dark room and project the video artwork. And these are kind of the elements that we do is as explode drawing diagram. So this structure has been exists at the beginning, like the beams and the stuff like that, and then we insert the windows, the box inside, and the door can open. Also, this one we extract all the edge. So we think like we see it not as the complete shape. So the storage has been occupy some space, but we see it beyond that. Like sometime when you open the windows, so you kind of expand it. It's just like a starting point. So we let the artist kind of investigating how to use the space. Like we leave it more freely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, from this drawing, because like we all believe that the architectural element is not only the static or solid object. The density itself is very important to the space. That's why we show this drawing, and we want to introduce and pass to the next one, which is also talking about the blur boundary of space as well.
This exhibition, maybe we can start from the exhibition title name, because when we work with Satit, he gave us some kind of a started brief, and then he say this one will call willing suspension of disbelief, and he think he look for something that can divide the space, which is not like typically like as a wall or door. So that's why we come up with this kind of two system of the structure, that we introduce another two axes in the room. So we read the first default space as the first axis. Like when everyone enter the space, so you come with your own axis. You move around the space, and even you are kids, maybe you have the smaller one. If you are the adult, maybe you have a bigger one. Or if you move like bowling, you come with the very rough bow axis, something like that. So we think after we introduce it as boundaries, like the lineage of the boundaries. So when you walk through it, you will have your own definition of the boundaries.
And here is the space in action with the work of Satit that overlay together and what is called superposition inside the space. So we see the art and the object of his work as a volume and also information as well. You can see that there's a cat,
A little cat
sculpture. So the space itself and the boundary itself is played together with the size and the experience of the art.
Yeah, also we explore how to exhibit these two axes inside a room without too much notice of the figure. So at the end we decide to attach it to the gallery wall in the different system. Yeah. And as I mentioned before, like we introduce another two axes. Then we kind of explore how the angle can be, because we know how many artwork has to be exhibited inside the space, and we want to kind of guide a little bit people to move through space in the main area. So that's why after we have these degrees set, and we kind of put it inside the gallery box. Also, because we see it as an axis, so it's kind of unlimited space coordinate, something like that. So it's go beyond that. So you as a starting point, and then you just point it as far as you can. That's why we have this drawing produced. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this diagram, along with the one you showed earlier for storage, right, shows your attention to the possibilities of the space, and I think the porosity of it, the way that people can move through it.
Yeah.
Then we show another project from us that also talk about porosity of the space as well. I think it's totally different from experience that people have with the public space in Singapore. This is within a city hall in Bangkok, because situation of public space in Bangkok is totally different to Singapore public space. We have a very big park in Bangkok, but we don't have like something like micro park or the park or public space that's so small that people can access inside or can use in the city.
So you can, if you can see how to say, like the organization of the chair or the surfaces on the ground, like we kind of added inside the green space. And maybe I show you the next one. You can see this kind of a little bubble curvy chairs stuff introduced to this. And when you see it from top view, you can see it's somehow create a pocket in the different size. So because the project meant to be for the public, so sometimes you come in a smaller group, or sometimes you come with the bigger group, so you can freely choose depend on your situation. Also, this can show how the porosity, like the figure and ground situation, you can see the layer of the roof. You can see through to the people walk under the roof, and you can see some partially the chair, and then the rest of the stuff is the real ground on the grass.
And because of this project is located inside and in the city hall, and there's I think 10,000 people working in this building, and to allow or invite us to do something inside, it should not be very alienation or should not be very contrast to the context that has been before. Then we tried and find element that we can use that is not totally different from what it is, what it was. That's why we kind of lifted the grass up to make this kind of space underneath.
Yeah, like because of the project name Elevated Ground, so it's kind of we elevated the green space, the green surface up, and then we weaving the activity between these two surfaces. And through the times, so you can notice that maybe the roof seemed to be not so green at the moment, because as it is a grass, and at the day one it's still freshy, greeny, smelly like the earth. But then we decide to let it decompose during the time. So at the very end, it's a little bit like in the brown, dry. Yeah. Yeah, on the left one is I think it's a day one, so it's still green. And on the right one, you can see the people like sitting in the small pocket inside of the green pocket.
This is another one that we work with to try to make the public space inside Bangkok. The recent one we work with the city hall, try to go inside and use the city hall as a public space, But now this is happened early this year, and we asked the owner of the land. This is now is a public land, right?
We turn it into the temporary public space during the festival because we think like in Bangkok, like in our countries, there's a private property that is just the way to do some to develop something like in the process. But this type of land is always turn out like to plan. How can we explain? Like it's due to the tax stuff and those policies. So the owner decide to plant some lemon trees or banana trees in the grid way, so that why they can leave it to not produce more cost of the tax stuff, right? And then we think maybe we can introduce the one of the possibility to use this type of land that has been blocked and locked down all the time and turn it into the public space. So we think again we use the same structure with the previous project before, and we reintroduce it again with the kind of the columns, and we weaving this type of surface. We call it urban bed because we think we wanted to invite everyone to experience or to explore this space. Just we invite everyone just to sit, and the rest of the activity we let it just organically to shift it to some has lay down, some come to sit in working or sleeping or drinking, eating. Like we just let it be organically.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, in Bangkok, the situation is we have big park. I think that like 3 or 4 big park, and it's quite difficult for people to go to the park. This have to be attempted somehow. They have to travel like 30 minutes or 1 hour to go to the park. But somehow the idle land is spreading around the Bangkok. No one use it, and it's waiting for development. In between, maybe that idle land can turn into the public space at like temporary somehow for amount of time.
Like we encourage everyone to reactivate it. I mean during the waiting state. And you can see these two, the structure and the existing tree has been at the moment, I think it's surround each other because during the festival, the trees has been grow and then everything like just weaving to each other. And then we show you the top view, the plan that show this kind of the grid of the plants, and then the structure kind of weave. Yeah.
Around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were sharing about the material that you were using to make the beds, like how they used for wrapping.
Yeah,
Packages?
it's the packaging strap because we think we wanted to push it as far as wanted to show the possibility, let's say something like that. So we think if we show something that is too far beyond that people not very familiar, so it's not normal that everyone can do it. So in this type of tectonic, we have the columns, we have the beam, and then we have the strap. So it's easily that once you see, you can feel that like you can do it your own at your place, something like that. So we wanted to, how to say, like, let's introduce this kind of stuff, like to make it more friendly with everyone so they can reactivate their own land. Yeah. Actually, it's supposed to be a passive venue, like no program, not like pre-program at all. But at the end, sometime there has been very organically happen.
Yeah, it's quite organic somehow because like the installation itself is supposed to be very passive and unprogrammed, but surprisingly, without any program between this 1 week of this installation, because the installation is run only 1 week, right? Between this stage, there's 5,000 people. Oh no, yeah, right?
About 5,000, which is a
people.
lot with the venue with our pre-program during the festival. Yeah.
So it shows a little bit that Thai or people really need this kind of public space inside. And on this photo, we show that there's a light post somehow. We decide to lower it very low because of to make the space itself is very comfortable and close to us. To lower the space down by not create the roof anymore. The one before we create the roof, right? But this one we use only the light because normally Thai Bangkok is so warm. No one uses public space in daytime, so they use it at night or between the evening time. So we don't need the roof anymore. We use the light itself to contain the space.
Yeah, as you can see, the distribution of the little dot of the light somehow is create the soft boundary, so you can feel enclosure, but it's not too bold enclosure. Also, this is another project that we've been happy with because of this one is meant to be the space. No, let me explain like this. This place has been maybe like shut down for abandoned for maybe more than 2 decades. And then this such a beautifully place has been again closed. So we think like we interested to activate this kind of space. And then during the festival,
maybe I tell the story of the place a little bit. There's an abandoned water tank in Bangkok, and somehow the city want to use it in the future as a homeless place. So to introduce this kind of function to that, somehow there's another group of a professor from university think that maybe sometimes they can use it as a public space as well.
Like also, it's just one of the possibility to reactivate the abandoned space, and actually this is big space, and then when such a big space has been locked down for years, and then you wanted to turn it as a public for temporary space, and then we think like if there's no such guideline, so when you enter, you kind of just roaming and you can get lost, or you can end up with somewhere that you not even notice. And we think the way we add the elements inside the space, so it's kind of activate the lightness of the guideline, how you can move through space, like you can move along the way inside the building, and then also you can freely like read it as your own boundaries. Can I say like that, right?
Yeah, I feel like the other two things you did for the design festival was a bit more clear. Like these were structures and installations you're making. This feels more like an intervention.
This is like very light.
Yeah, intervention on how you can read or feel or interact with the space rather than two separate towers. They are connected in some way. Yeah, and I think you were also telling me a very exciting story on how you installed the plastic.
How we installed. Yeah. You would like to share? Because when you see the photos, it looks so lightness, but it's not easy to install it because we need to put the scaffolding, like the long scaffolding, like we build a bridge between these two water tanks, and then because of it's a stretch beam, so we have to travel the stretch film like layer by layer, and then we together all the layers form this kind of the lightness surface.
Yeah. Like it looks a bit like silk, but it's just plastic, right? Yeah. And then the walking along, you said, along the length.
Along the length, yeah, like the journey
Yeah.
of the stretch film. So as you can see, because this space meant to be the preserve.
Yeah,
Preserve.
I can tell it like this because of our interest in unprogrammed space. So the first time we visit the space, I think the beautifulness of the space itself is what it has already. So it's a tank, and the wind that blow inside the space, and also the sun that traveling from times to times. When we wrap these things inside the space, people can really feel. Normally, people can feel the wind already, but we cannot see the wind. But when the wind blow past through this, I call it surface. The surface is slowly moving as well, and to allow people to walk inside the space, there also the reflection of the sun, which is when people move inside and changing direction, the object itself, the sun itself, is traveling together with them as well.
The orientation. And I think as the boundaries, the elements supposed to be the light boundaries, so you can see that we leave some gap, like we don't really wrap everything touch to the ground, so we have a little gap between the ground and the structure. So during the festival, we see some kids like just running around to inside this layer, and also some adult has, some curiousness, like they let them just slip in, underneath in, So it's kind of, again, like the soft guideline that everyone can define their own boundaries.
Yeah. To wrap it up, because of our interest is very like we interest into the subtlety of the space and the boundary. When we work together with Pratchaya, we are super happy very much that he also interested in something very subtle as well.
So I think in spatial organization way, that why that we has been part of the exhibition in the subtle way. Maybe after this talk, we can go and freely move inside together. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe now we can slowly make our way over to Gallery 1, and then you can actually see what they have explained to you in situ. Yeah. If you have curious to hear more and have your questions, please do stay on, and they can take any question. So I guess before everyone leaves, I'll start with the first one. How does it feel, I guess, because across your works, there's many different types, and having recently concluded the Bangkok Design Week, and then also working with Tuna Pop emulations, how does it feel to work on your own projects as opposed to collaborating with an artist?
You mean how the difference?
Yeah, how does it compare to be working on your own installations as opposed to working on a design for an artist specifically? Yeah.
Actually, it's very different, because when you're working on your own project, you have kind of the information that influence how the design going to be started with, and you take kind of the context, or you take all the briefs that you can, all the information to help to assembly the design approach. But when you work with the artist, you have to leave some space. Like, actually, for me myself, I put myself a little bit like light, like, and I take the other half a lot. So I think it will meet both. I try to balance it in the way that it's not too much from our side or too from the artist side. So just to make sure that we first be useful with the space support, with the spatial organization, and I think it's more or less like that. But then depend on the artist, because you also know all the artists is all different, right?
So how was it like working with Pratchaya?
Actually, we very happy, because maybe because of the, not so sure, like the style or something, like through the conversation we kind of comfortable to have with him, so that why everything flow in a very not intense way. Yeah.
And then I think I was also curious to know about the collaboration with Satvik, right? I think I feel like there's a bit more of your own design practice that you can see in the ways that you map, the movement, the axis. Yeah, maybe you can speak more to them.
I think from Sathik's project, he started to give us. It's like a task. It's like when you study and you get some task from the teacher or something like that, and he kind of give us a little pixel by pixel, so you only know what he wanted that to give you. So that's why it's kind of a little input from us, because we need to fill more gap in that way. But it's fun.
I think also I was taken by the very ephemeral nature of your projects. So the Bangkok Design Week pieces, I think we forgot to bring this up to our audiences, but the last three works that were presented were actually only up for about 10 days, right? You were saying. So these are ephemeral structures, temporary designs that were made to be very lightweight, I guess. So you had certain considerations in mind about how you know that they're not going to be permanent. So what are some of the, I guess, thought processes you have when you're working on something that's a bit more ephemeral versus perhaps like the houses or cafes or restaurants they also design? So there's the commercial aspect to it.
I think this is a very good question, because when you're working on a festival, it's meant to be temporary. So in the way that you have more challenge factor, I can say that, but you have kind of another possibility because it's temporary. So you can challenge yourself more in the very unique way, let's say like that. So you're not stay with the typical concrete wall, or for example, like building a house, you need not like temporary. You need such a permanent condition. So that I think it's kind of not easy but challenge, and you can expand how to use the material in different way, like the stretch beam or the strap of the cardboard box.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And do you think that allows you to take more risk?
Yes, like it's temporary, but just to make sure that it's safe. Yeah.
If there's any questions from the floor, please be curious and ask more.
Did you have to experiment with the angle?
This one.
Incline.
Yeah. Actually, we have long conversation with the degrees of this continuing inclination. We have initially the amount of the degrees, and then we did some tests, and then due to the law of the Singapore, like you need to have it match to the regulation unless you can exhibit all along the way inside the room. So we kind of work on these all the factors, and then it's result of these degrees come.
Did it also link it all to the airport runway? I think you were saying
At the first, so
right.
yeah. But then when you need to match everything with the regulation, so it's kind of a little negotiation, because if you want to have the steepness as the first number that you want, then you probably had to have some landing at some point. So you won't be able to achieve the continuum of the overall routes like this. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Curious. I think the other thing that's talking about the excavation is the modular, like the fact that it's this modular construction. I think that when you see the finished products, it seems like it's one piece. Obviously,
You can see the pieces underneath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also the fact that you consider storage options for this. If it's modular, maybe it's easier to move the parts. And the fact that it considered alternative uses, like after and the next life for the structure, like to be used as shelves. Yeah. Again, I think it's that very inflexible approach that the ground is not just ground, it's vertical. Yeah.
Yeah, because of our practice is the architectural stuff, so the dimension is matter. So when you lay everything down horizontally, it's supposed to be ground, but when you turn it a little by little, sometimes it reaches the definition of the wall, and sometimes it doesn't. So we interested to leave it as for the audience to define.
I can move this mic.
I have a question about texture. Was there any definition in the
You mean this texture?
Yeah, texture.
Shall we ask the artist?
Actually, I found that when we've been to the LAS, like money museum, just very fun. So inside the money museum in Singapore, so they're covered by the floor, all covered by these materials. So it's look really it's really sleek, really clean, really spatial. So and now talking about you define the history of how the currency has been played with the history of Singapore and also the regions. So I think that's the way that I felt. I feel that I can reintroduce this kind of skill, which is somehow is under your feet, and then also another one below is kind of a flying object. So from parachute to this floor style of I don't know what it's called. So it's plastic leaf, and they have a certain name for it. And I think it's just I just have to try to Singapore Art Museum to screen decide to everyone who's involved in this project to make it happen, because this is kind of it's quite something that they have to achieve together. So.
I have one question. In terms of the embodied, like the experience of the this kind of incline and looking and the way you feel those aspects.
So because like the dimension of this called the parachute, right? And what we discussed with Pratchaya, we try to lower it as much as possible. This is more like 2.6 meter or 2.8 meter height. So it's quite normal and it's quite comfortable enough for people and used to enough. It's like the size or dimension of the space at home. So because normal home is like 2.8, 2.3 meters, something like that, right? And to be able to, for people to feel comfortable enough to sit or to be underneath it, that's why this came in this dimension. And I think I'm very happy that you mentioned Vitruvian Man, because like for an architect we all learn from that. And this dimension as well, when people stand at the center of it, you can feel that you're overwhelmed by the money that's falling down. Sometimes you don't have to look up anymore. You just stand at the center of it and feel the space and close yourself. Yeah. Am I answering you?
I have a question related to this. So the first time you saw people walking in the space and interacting with like this, did it line up with your expectation of how people will interact, or was there any difference?
You mean like how they interact with this lightness?
The incline and like looking up at the artwork and the way they move in the space, did it sort of line up with your expectation, or was it different?
Some already share back, like because not everyone will notice at the very beginning when they enter the room. So in maybe some point in the middle or over here, they will start to realize the inclination. So I think this kind of very quietly layer that we laying in this space is started to like slow cooking. When you notice one thing, you will continually started to investigate another thing, like this inclination of ground, and also the carpet set like a little leaning point, and then pick just back to the wall. So you want to add?
What I recognize is it depends on the amount of people inside the space. Sometimes if there are only one group of people, I saw a lot of people sit and lay down or maybe only stand underneath the screen, right? But if there are more people, like in the opening day or even today, people normally they gather around and look to the screen and avoid the light space in the middle. And if I can refer back, there's some conversation with Pratchaya as well. The first conversation is, I think he might think about people lean to the wall at the back side and look to the front.
I think there are other questions I know that's the last one. For me, my experience in this space is that I already knew that there would be a rent before I came in, so I expected this. But what I didn't really expect was the view that I would get when I was walking back down and how clean it is. The negative space of this gallery is very clean. Everything is quite flush. And even from the start, the parachute cloth is recessed into the wall. And I think that that was something that you were very conscious of when you were deciding how to position the artworks. So I guess if I could ask you to speak a bit more about the artworks and especially their recession into the wall and how that came about.
Like we say, like together with Pratchaya, we would like to how to say, to let the space like very not to focus in one particular artwork. So that's why we decide to recess the parachute cloth a little bit inside the wall. So that why it's not too distract when you enter. So it's more up to the audience that it depends on your experience, that you're going to toward the big surface first, you're going to toward the small recessed artwork first. So it's more freedom. I can say that like everything has kind of the whispering, like the tension of incarnation works toward in one particular artwork, but then it's not too loudly. So as you can see, it's continue to the door. So you probably knows it, but in somehow it's already worked with your body when you move through space. You're going to walk diagonally, or you walk toward the height, or you walk back down. It's speed a little bit up when you walk back because it's like going downward, for example. So that's why we think the tiny guideline just like whispering and work a bit by bit. Yeah. You want to add?
For me, I think the gravity itself is very important to this exhibition, and I think it's important with Pratchaya work as well. If you can see the numpig that lay next against the wall is also about gravity as well. His decision to place numpig at that side, and as well the vastness as well, is showing some kind of gravity, right? And this screen as well, that is not oriented statically, somehow is rotate a little bit. So the gravity that people can feel, you cannot measure it, but you can feel it. It's not like you force. There's exhibition not to force people to see the gravity, but they also feel it somehow when they walk around and about to realize. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I guess that concludes our talk and walkthrough today. Thank you so much, everyone.